I was a 22-year-old trader, and I hadn't seen anything like that before. I've unfortunately seen 3 or 4 instances subsequently, but it was a hairy day, and not one that I would want to repeat very quickly.
Now, for more on this, Jeffrey Tucker, Director of Content at the Foundation for Economic Education in Atlanta, joins us now. Mr. Tucker, thanks so much for joining us. Now, you were there, you worked on this day, and you have memories of Black Monday. Tell us about them.
Thank you for letting me reflect. It's been decades. I remember the sense of catastrophe. In those days, it was even before, a little bit before email, so we used modems to communicate. And I remember getting messages, all caps, about the calamity that was coming and how our lives are going to fundamentally change. And I remember, and I was very young, having a sense of panic about the impending Great Depression, that our lives were essentially, our prosperity was over. Of course, none of it ended up being true. You know, I mean, within 2 years, the economy had recovered the markets had recovered all of its gains. And I learned a very valuable lesson. What happens to financial markets is not the same as what happens to the macroeconomy.
Now, do you live in fear thinking that this could happen again?
Yeah, no, I think it could happen again. It could happen tomorrow. I do.
Okay.
I don't think these circuit breakers have made any difference. If the sale orders are coming in, nothing is going to stop them. You can't institutionalize any protections against something like this. And it may be the case that the market is massively overbought, but I'm sorry to say, I don't feel sorry for anybody under these conditions. If you're in the financial market, you are taking risks. The financial market is very subject to these kinds of hysterias. And you know, this is just what you're going to deal with. And consumers and investors need to realize that is a very risky market. Despite every promise that we fixed things, nothing's been fixed. And probably shouldn't be. That's just the nature of financials.
So nothing's been fixed. So have no steps been taken to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Oh, this is all pretense, right? I mean, this is just people who manage the system wanting to promise that things are we can have stability, but there will never be stability in modern markets that are this fast moving, this subject to hysteria, this globalized. Nobody can control them. I happen to think that's a good thing, actually, that the markets are not controlled by anybody because nobody's smart enough to do it. Sometimes these kind of crashes are going to happen. And again,
why is it a good thing, Mr. Tucker?
Because we need corrections. We get carried away. Sometimes the Fed floods the economy with too much money too fast. Credit gets too loose. People get a little undisciplined and a little reckless in their investments. And there needs to be a correction. I tend to think that these crashes are a good corrective to the pretense of the human mind that believes that everything is always up, up, up forever. It's not. We need that correction. We need that caution. We should be more cautious.
So on that,
and these crashes help us. These crashes are a help, I think.
These crashes are a help. Now, on that question, are the current global markets, the rally that we're seeing, is this sustainable?
Probably not, and I would say this is true across the board. These markets are always subject to these kinds of hysterias. You know, if you think it's going to go up, you buy and you buy and you buy, and there's no check on it. I think probably we're in the midst of that right now. I'm not recommending that you sell. I'm just recommending that if you lose 25% in your portfolio, you just chill, have a good night's sleep, hang
Mr.
out for about
Tucker,
18
we'll
months.
have to leave it there. Thank you very much for remembering 30 years ago and all that, your insight. That was Jeffrey Tucker from the Foundation for Economic Education in Atlanta.